Welcome to How to Work with Funders information video for social enterprises. I'd like to again welcome Sue Wright, who's a grants officer with the Suffolk Foundation. Much of the content of the first funding advice video provided by Sue will be applicable to social enterprises, and it should be viewed in conjunction with this video. However, in this video we just want to highlight the differences in relation to applying for funds from the Suffolk Foundation for a social enterprise. So Sue, I wondered if you could just briefly explain what a social enterprise is and how it differs from a charity.
Okay, well, a social enterprise, or sometimes known as a community interest company, is a business basically, but it's a business with charitable objectives. So it will almost undoubtedly be trading, and although a charity can trade also, this is pure trading.
Right. Could you just tell me what governance procedures you'd expect a group to have in place if they're seeking funding as a social enterprise?
Okay, well, because they're a business, we would expect them to either have articles of association if they're a social enterprise, or they can take the format of being a community interest company. And then you have different documentation. You'd have what we call KIC 34s and KIC 36. One is the registration document and the other is the proposal about what you wish to deliver. And you would have something called an asset lock, which is exactly really what it's saying. Your assets are locked into your company, because if a charity has provided a grant for them, they want to know that they're not going to be sold and those sorts of things.
Right.
So it's the social enterprise and community interest operate in the same way, but they have slightly different documentation. And there's actually several different forms that a social enterprise can take. You can have shareholders, which is quite different. But generally, we just take in applications from social enterprises who have the Articles of Association, or from a KIC, which will provide the KIC 34 and the KIC 36 paperwork, which is different to what we expect from a group. An ordinary charity would just have a constitution often.
Right. Would you expect that people would have sought legal advice to set up as a social enterprise?
Well, I would ask that they seek some advice. You know, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, unfortunately. And there's so much encouragement these days to set up as social enterprises. So I would say certainly, at the very least, maybe speak with Suffolk Acre, who have a brand new social enterprise department. They'd be able to give you some good down-to-earth advice.
Is there any other particular requirements you'd be looking for?
Well, we look to see that there is adequate management. By that, we personally like to see more than 2 directors, 3 upwards really.
Right. And do you advise people that they should sign up to a sort of social enterprise body or quality award system?
Yes, I mean, we would like to see that they have at least read the quality mark for social enterprises and signed up to that. That would give us confidence that they were delivering what they say they are going to deliver, and that they've got proper management structures in place. But we don't say you must, but we would actually advise people to have a look at the social enterprise quality mark.
And do you provide ongoing funding for social enterprises?
Well, we do and we don't is the answer to that question really, because there is an expectation that a social enterprise, like a business, will become self-funding. It will start to make a profit which can plough back into its organisation. So as a general rule, and it is only a general rule, we say a social enterprise should be self-sustaining after its 3rd year.
Right.
So we would help with set-up costs, and we would help with the middle area, but after the 3rd year we might say, why do you still need grants? And I do appreciate that some social enterprises will always need grants, but we would look more closely at why after the 3rd year.
Is there just an example you could give me of why they might need ongoing grants? Because, as you said, you'd be expecting them to become fairly self-sustaining.
Well, quite often you find that they're delivering something for which they cannot actually receive much income. You know, they may be delivering something to youth who we know don't have a lot of money, as in, say, an internet cafe, that sort of thing. So it may be that that income is never going to be enough to sustain them. Therefore, if they're delivering charitable objectives, we may say, OK, well, we can see that they will need grants. But we would, you know, recommend people look carefully when setting up a social enterprise, just what it is that they are getting into this for.
Right. What do you look for in a bid that would make it successful in a social enterprise as opposed to a charity? You know, would there be a difference in the nature of the bid?
There would be a slight difference. I mean, obviously, we're still looking to see that they're meeting a need, that they have charitable objectives, but we also look to see a really good social enterprise application would be one where they show in their business plan, and we do ask to see the business plan of social enterprises, and if they haven't got one, then that of course would raise questions, but we look to see that they are actually thinking ahead and can see themselves how in possibly 3 years' time they will be standing very much on their own 2 feet. They're the best ones. It's very much for us almost giving them a leg up so that they can then go self-sustaining after that.
You said to me, Sue, that 70% of social enterprises fail in the first year. What is it that would make the difference between success and failure for a social enterprise?
Well, I can understand that, particularly in the days of massive redundancies here, there and everywhere, and the big society urging people to do things for themselves. It may sound quite easy to go out, set up a social enterprise, and often I think that the ideas are great, but people haven't thought through quite how they're actually going to implement this. Have they got something that's unique? And enthusiasm wanes, people may go into being social enterprises thinking it's going to be something that they can earn quite a lot of money at, then they discover it isn't. It's actually quite hard work. It's like setting up any business really, and I think enthusiasm wanes, or they realise they maybe aren't addressing a need as fully as they'd hoped to be, or that the need is addressed elsewhere.
So what are the key things that you think can create that sustainability for a social enterprise?
I would say think about it very carefully, and certainly, yet again, speak with Suffolk Acre. Throw your ideas past them really to see if they feel that your idea is good. Make sure you have dedicated staff, because it's going to be hard work. It's running a business.
Yes. And is that the key to it? I mean, is it the business skills of those running a social enterprise which will make the difference between success and failure in the longer term?
It will certainly help, yeah. It is a business, so you've got to have a good business sense, really. View it like that, but of course it's got to have charitable objectives. So it's a bit of a strange mix. You've really got to have good business sense and then be charitable.
Right. I think that's all the questions I wanted to ask you, Sue. Is there anything else you'd like to add in summary?
I would say if you're thinking of setting up as a social enterprise, that's great, or community interest company, by all means come to us to chat about what funding may be available. Not all of our funds give to social enterprises, so you'd have to look carefully at the funds we do have that will support social enterprises, and really remember that there will be an expectation that you will be self-funding as best you can within a few short years.
Right, thank you very much indeed,
Okay,
Sue, for
welcome.
another very interesting and helpful look at the Suffolk Foundation. Could I just remind people again that further information is available on the Suffolk Funding website, and if you go to the contacts page, then you can access details of funding advisors in your area that can help you to put together a funding application.